everyone, to our viewers at Dataquest. This is the next episode in our Dataquest 40 years. And this time we have with us an exciting author, Jaspreet Bindra. He's the author of The Tech Whisperer, a veteran of the IT industry and a futurist. Welcome, Jaspreet. It's great to have you here.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Great to meet up. Glad to know you're better. And this is the first time I've been called a futurist, so even better.
Oh, wow, great. We'll get to that later. Maybe for our viewers, if you can introduce yourself in 30 seconds or 1 minute before we go forward. Yeah.
No, happy to, Sunil, and for everyone else. Well, I had a corporate career with the Tata Administrative Services for many years, Microsoft for many years, and then I was the Group Chief Digital Officer for the Mahindra Group. But over the last 5 years, in the more interesting second half of my career, 2.0, if it may, I basically do 5 things. I have a company called the Tech Whisperer Limited, named after my book, out of Cambridge, where I advise a few companies on their digital transformation, technology strategy, PwC, ThoughtWorks, etc. I speak on these topics around the world. I teach them. I teach at Ashoka, I teach for Harvard, I teach for Singularity University. I write a lot, much like I'm sure you do. And I have a regular column in the Mint for the last 4-5 years. I write for many other places. And then I also, in my relative old age, I decided to foolishly do a second master's. So I've just completed a master's in AI and ethics from Cambridge University. And that has been very interesting. So that's very quickly about me. I divide my time between Cambridge and Gurgaon.
So I'd like to, begin with a slightly long question because, I think your book, The Tech Whisperer, came out in around 2019, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
exactly 4 years back in September 2019.
Yeah. So why I'm fascinated by that is because, like I had just gone through your book. So, I mean, for our readers, I don't know this. I think it's not clear because of the blurred. Yeah, now it's clear. Yeah. So what happened is why I'm fascinated with the timing of your book is because you came out in 2019. And 2019, I would say the pace of everything was very sluggish. But, the last 4 years, there's been a tech acceleration and it's been mad. And why I'm interested is because, like, if you go through the chapters of your book, how to digitally transform your legacy company, why every company needs to be a technology company, that has happened today. And you talked of, the data revolution, blockchain, industry 4.0, IoT, robots, drones. Again, everybody is seeing it that. So like, I just want to know, first of all, what were your, compulsions to write the book and how did it feel? Because what you wrote, I mean, it actually, in a way, it panned out all the trends and all the technologies in the next 4 years. So how I'd like to look at that journey before and after.
Sure. In tech, Sunil, we have this quote saying that there are decades in tech where nothing much happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen, right? And I think the last many weeks, months have been like that. In fact, there's something very interesting in my book. If you see the cover, you will see it's written a chapter on AI written by an AI.
Yes.
Okay, and that was a bit of a interesting thing that I did.
Correct.
Chapter 13 is written by an AI. It's a chapter on AI. And Sunil, it took me 7 months working with a boutique AI company called Findability Sciences out of Boston to create an NLP, natural language programming model, to write a useless, actually worthless chapter on AI. And chapter 12 was written by a human being, which was me. And the whole deal was, how much human beings are better. Now, fast forward 4 years, this would take 7 minutes by ChatGPT to write.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it would write a much better chapter, if I may say so, almost as good as what a human being would write. And so in 4 years, the acceleration, as you rightly said, has been it's been exponential. And and we are actually not at the end of it. We are probably in the start of it. And so the next 4 years will probably bring us something else. But why? Well, to be honest, Sunil, I've always been writing, as I said in my introduction. And I've always worked in this industry. I also like telling stories. I'm a storyteller. And people told me that I can demystify tech better than many others can. And so this book actually came from my experience of writing about tech in other places, but also making it very understandable for lay readers, non-tech readers. And that's why, to come to conclude, that's why the name the Tech Whisperer. As you
Right.
know, a dog whisperer is someone who speaks in a dog's language and makes a dog understand whisperer, elephant whisperer, and therefore the Tech Whisperer.
Yeah. So I'd also like then I'd like to like pick on that AI, because that's what when I went through that chapter, as you rightly said, today it would take 7 minutes, but at that time it was like very revolutionary. When you wrote that at that time in 2019, if someone would have read that, he said, "Wow." But now it's like nothing. I mean, that much change has taken place. So my next question would be about this, generative AI, chat GPT revolution. So, I mean, I think we're still yet to come to terms, because chat GPT, we still look at it as a toy, as, something interesting. So, like, as the tech whisperer, if you can actually explain to us how this is going to change business, enterprises, and the world actually. So,
Yeah. So look, AI, as you know, is an old technology. It's been
right,
present since 1956 approximately.
right,
So it's
right,
65, 70 years old. So nothing new in AI. But
right.
sometimes, AI is often called the new electricity. And one of the
Yeah,
reasons it's called the new electricity is because you only think of electricity when it's not there.
yeah,
Similarly, AI, we used to only think of when it's not there. Okay,
right,
everything would stop around. With generative AI, what has happened is that it's brought the power of AI, which was always in the background, to the hands of people like you and me. And we have been like,
right.
oh, wow, okay.
Mm,
That's how, so, while AI is 65 years old, 95% of the world will think that AI is less than a year old when ChatGPT
right,
was launched.
right.
That's one. The second part is, Sunil, that there is only, many philosophers, experts, pundits say that the thing which separates human beings from the rest of the species is their use of language.
Right.
No other species can use language like we do. However, we've now created something which is generative AI, which is actually trained on large bodies of language. That's why they're called large language models.
Yeah.
Okay, and so therefore, now there are only two species on Earth which are trained on language: human beings and chat GPT or generative AI. Okay. And so
Right.
that's why we like to talk to each other. That's why we are very
Right.
similar. We're both imperfect. We both hallucinate. Okay. We are
Right.
both creative. We both make stuff up as we go along. And why I'm saying this is to come to your second part of your question. How will it revolutionize? See, one of the things which when ChatGPT came, it was so impressive that people thought that it would change everything. Every industry will be disrupted. Every country will be disrupted. Super intelligence will happen. World hunger will be solved. Cars will fly. Okay, but people are now saying, "Arey, but where is all that?" And what people don't understand is that generative AI is a miraculous technology, but in a certain area, which is about
Yeah.
generation, about creativity,
Right.
about making new things. And so I think in that industry, creative industries, writing stuff, including writing code, and interacting like customer service, marketing, a bunch of industries like that, there would be profound impact. Okay, and it would kind of impact jobs, which we'll talk about. It would impact society, countries, ethics, profound impact. But it doesn't. It's not something which is going to change everything like the way we
Right.
think it is. So a large part of that was hype also. But the industries
Right.
that it will change quite a lot, and we can get into detail on.
Yeah. So maybe like before we get into a detail on that, I maybe one way or another, like one is tech acceleration, and the second is all like the technologies they mix with each other. Like you have talked of blockchain, industry 4.0, IoT, robots, drones. So AI will benefit, drones will benefit from AI, robots will benefit from AI, industry 4.0. So maybe if you can, uh, I'd say like AI is the one ring to rule them all. How is AI in conjunction with all these other technologies going to affect, like you were talking of, jobs and the industry and all that?
No, Sunil, so you're absolutely right, and it's a great insight because not many people appreciate that. But it's not about just taking one technology in its as a soulless thing and saying how it doesn't work that way. It's always a group of technologies which profoundly change things, right? AI arguably could be probably the most fundamental, amongst the most fundamental of them all. People have compared it to electricity, compared it to fire,
Yeah.
compared it to like very, very, and AI along with two, three more. So the internet is one. Obviously, AI is another. The IC engine, steam engine was a third. Okay, and what are called general purpose technologies. That's the other full form of GPT, other than generative pre-trans,
Right, 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 right.
pre-trained transformer. It's also it's one of those very rare general purpose technologies, and the definition of a general purpose technology is that it works across everything, across life, across industries, but
Yeah.
often in conjunction with others. Okay, so many industries like supply chain will require IoT plus AI. Okay, banking finance will have some blockchain applications plus a lot of AI. Manufacturing will have additive manufacturing plus AI plus IoT. So all of these kind of come together. Robotics, etc. All of them coming together. I mean, I think if you take one single thing, say autonomous vehicles, it's an excellent example of how pretty much every technology known to us and some which are still unknown, which will yet to be discovered, okay, are coming together in one object, whether it be electric, whether it be AI, whether it be vision, computer vision, whether it be any IoT, any sensors, everything else, and so they all work together.
Yeah.
In terms of jobs, the last bit, since you mentioned that, Sunil, I always believe that AI will not take your job, but someone using AI will.
Right.
And if you kind of expand that, some tech isn't going to replace you, okay, but someone using tech, well, will. And so if you are a software programmer, it's not going to be one robot which is going to program you and program better than you and leave out, but it's going to be another human being who will use, Chat GPT or GitHub Copilot and will produce code faster, better than you. Similarly, if you're a journalist, similarly, if you're a story writer, similarly, if you're a marketer, similarly, if you're a contact agent, call services agent. So people using technology well will always replace people not using it, and that's been the way of the world. And so you better embrace all of them.
Yeah. So like another, like as an Indian, one selfish thing I was interested is, the impact on India, because I think I had written that DataQuest has completed 40 years. So we launched in 1982. So we are doing a series of specials of what India will be like in 2047, 100 years after independence. So I'm
Okay.
just curious because, like everybody's talking, this is the right time. We are the largest population, largest, working population, demographic dividend, and also we are the largest growing large economy, and finally
Yes.
even we have a digital government finally. So
Yes.
startup ecosystem, IT services. So are we really poised to become like a or the tech superpower by 2047? I'd like to know your views on both the pluses and minuses, where we are heading, what.
Fair. Fair. Look, it's a good question, and obviously there's one would need to be Nostradamus to know whether you'll be the superpower in
Yeah.
2047.
Okay.
But here's something very interesting. Look, if you look at the two superpowers today, clearly they are US and China. You know, maybe the EU number three, but US and China are the two clear
I
superpowers.
agree. Yeah.
But but the interesting part is very different models, okay, of technology. So US is very capitalist, individualistic, corporate driven, stock market driven, innovation driven, entrepreneur driven kind of model, right? China is a much more state driven, state controlled for society, not individual, kind of controlled centrally rather than decentralized. The US is decentralized. Very different models. Now, the important thing for India is not as much as to have the right technology and talent, etc. To me, the most important thing is what will be the model. Okay. And so if you think about it, we have the talent. Okay. We have capital, not as much as these big two guys, but reasonable capital. Okay. We have the data. Okay. Huge data sets. okay, which are very, especially through UPI, Aadhaar, etc. thing.
Right.
What we have to figure out is, will we be doing it the US way, the China way, or a third way? And my thing is that we can become the tech superpower if we do it the third way. And here's the third way. If you think of it today, what are the two biggest things in technology today? Okay, vis-a-vis our part of the world, even the world. One big story obviously is AI, generative AI. Huge. It's the era of AI for the next few decades. But the other big story is the model with which India has managed to deliver technology to 1.4 billion people. And that's the whole digital public infrastructure.
Yeah.
But it's not only DPI, Sunil. The secret sauce has been how this DPI, which is Aadhaar, UPI, Digi this, Digi that, has been delivered as a digital public good, DPG.
Right, correct.
Okay, which is that it's like clean air or it's like law and order. It's free. And that model is unique to India at scale. People have done it, but at scale. And it has bridged digital divide. It's created the startup ecosystem that you talked about. It's even made big tech big. Okay, it has, put subsidies in the hands of the common man, vaccines, the whole thing. So in fact, my crusade these days is to say that, look, with generative AI, we should build generative AI also as a digital public good in India. Put AI, generative AI as a part of the India stack.
Right.
Okay. And make a Bharat LLM, which a lot of people are talking about, India LLM with India data, all that stuff. But what do you do with an India LLM? Take that India LLM, build it as one layer in the India stack, give it out, therefore, quote unquote, free to people. You'll have 1 million creators born. You'll have 10,000 more startups coming in. Obviously, industry will benefit and everyone will benefit. And in fact, this thing I have termed as JanAI. Okay. From GenAI,
GenAI.
Our political dispensation these days likes these names. So hopefully,
I know. That's true.
so GenAI is AI for the people. And so therefore, to conclude therefore, Sunil, I believe that there are 4 things which are necessary for us to be a 2047 superpower. Talent is one. Data is another. Compute or capital is the third. But the fourth, the most important, is the delivery model and the governance, which can happen through this GenAI construct. And that can make us a superpower, like the way the DPI, DPG has made us a power in that era, in that area, in our country.
Yeah, so I really like this concept, generative AI as a digital public good, and also this GenAI the third way, not US, not China.
Yeah, so GenAI is, it's exactly, that's generative AI as a digital public good, frankly.
So anyway, that's quite
interesting. About it. Sorry to interrupt, but think about it. All the India radio recordings, for example, all the Doordarshan recordings, all the data coming out of DPI infrastructure, okay? All our primary health, primary education, all of this data can make the most amazing Indian LLM. And then that becomes the database, in a sense, for massive creative and entrepreneurial possibilities if it's put as a part of the India stack.
So I'd like to ask you, what are you passionate about right now? What are you working on? Where do you see yourself working on the next?
Yeah, I mean, actually this, okay. Look, okay. So if I draw back, where did this come about? So look, I was always involved in technology. I've always been involved in digital transformation. And I always thought of AI as the most powerful tool for digital transformation. Not only digital transformation for companies, but digital transformation of societies, of countries, something which India is going through at this point of time, for example, and other countries will also go through. So that has been always my area of work for even when I was in the corporate world for the last 10, 12 years. When I went to Cambridge, Sunil, I did, as I told you, my master's in AI and ethics. One of the reasons that I was keen to do that was because I realized this was pre-GPT time. By the way, this was pre-chat GPT.
Okay.
When I started, it's a 2 years this thing. So I started in 2021. So it was pre-chat GPT. And one of the things which interested me as I looked at the ethics of technology and AI, which is a big interest area, and society, I saw that all the models were based on Western philosophy and Western thought.
Yeah.
And there's this massive corpus of Eastern thought, Indian
Yeah.
philosophy,
Right.
which no one was really. So my dissertation, frankly, in Cambridge was about how and if Vedanta is
Hmm.
the most popular Indian philosophy, is
Correct.
the reason why Indians think of privacy in data and AI differently than the way they think of than the Westerners think of. Because Vedanta is about Tattvamasi, it's about all of us
Correct.
are the one, same thing. And
Yes.
so if all of us are the same, why privacy?
Yeah.
So I mean, at the highest level.
Yeah.
So why I'm saying this is that therefore I firmly came to believe that not only business models of or delivery models of technologies like AI, but even models around ethics, around privacy, need to be contextualized for this 1.5 billion of the world population, and if you count Asia, then half the world population. And therefore, this whole GenAI thing. So GenAI will not be the delivery model. Also, it will also be the ethics model. Now, if you have
Yeah.
built it as a part of the India stack, you can then bring in the guardrails, which are with ethical guardrails, which are tuned towards Indian ways of thinking. Like in privacy, for example, or in
Yeah.
bias, or in
Yeah.
any of these other cultural things. So I think that is my big area of passion or interest. Obviously, technology is the bedrock of
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah.
how technology and society can work together, and especially this part of the world, and the eastern part of the world.
So anyway, that's a great thought to end. But still, I'll ask one last question. So, what's your next book? Is it going to be a sequel or the AI Whisperer or something else altogether?
Sunil, I have a lot of pressure now to write my
Yeah,
next
I
book.
am
My
sure because it's become so high profile. People expect you can't help it.
my publisher especially has stopped talking to me out of
Oh my God.
Penguin out of sheer
Yeah.
frustration.
Uh,
And I would love to. I was actually at the Kushwant Singh Lit Fest last week, and I
right.
went back to this world of authors and Lit Fests, etc. And I was
Right.
like, I need to. I just haven't had the time with my work as well as my masters, etc.
Right.
But I think in 2024, 25, I have to. It
Correct.
definitely will be around all that we spoke about. It will be around AI, it will be around Eastern philosophy, it will be
Correct.
around GenAI. Okay, so it will have all of and digital transformation. So all of these will be there, but I need to think of the right story, the right
Right.
which I still don't have in my mind,
Yeah.
and the right title. I do believe
Right.
titles are very important. Okay, in
Yeah.
books. For me, the Tech Whisperer sold for three reasons. One, sure content, even if I say so. But the
Right.
second was the title itself, and the third was
Right.
the stunt that I pulled. Okay, of the AI writing on AI.
Right. Right. That was great.
So I think I need to find that formula again, but
Yeah.
it will be around these topics.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you get the, inspiration or even the name, you'll just go ahead. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
sounds sounds so it's been really informative and great. I mean, we've talked on so many things from a totally different angle. So it's been an absolute pleasure doing this interview with you. So
Thank
I
you very much. Same here, Sunil, and thanks for the opportunity.